Hey man, I'm about to tell you something that will sound completely backwards to everything you've learned about attracting women. It's not about your looks. It's not about your bank account. It's not even about charm or having the perfect words. It's something much colder, much more dangerous, and it works like a damn spell. I call it the Thomas Shelby rule. You know the character. Peaky Blinders, that stoic, emotionally unreadable man with deadly focus who barely says anything. Yet women don't just want him, they ache for him. But why? It's not because he says the right things, it's because he barely says anything at all. He walks into a room and everything slows down. His energy is so centered, so still, that it rattles everyone around him who lives in chaos. He doesn't react, not to praise, not to anger, not even to love. He observes, he calculates, he remains unmoved. And in a world full of men constantly seeking approval, that kind of unshakable presence becomes an obsession for women because it's rare, and women are wired to chase what feels rare. Now here's the part that sounds dumb to most men. You don't win her over by giving more. You win her over by giving less. But what you do give has to feel like pure power. The Thomas Shelby rule is simple, but most men will never understand it. Every word you say, every glance you give, every move you make, it must feel like it cost you something. You don't smile easily. You don't compliment carelessly. You don't overshare your feelings or flood her with attention. Because once she realizes that your attention is valuable, that it's not handed out like candy to everyone, she starts treating it like treasure. And the more she has to earn it, the more desperately she wants it. Think about Thomas Shelby for a second. He's the guy every woman watching that show fantasizes about, but can't quite figure out. He's quiet, controlled, dangerous, and yet somehow magnetic. He's been through hell, lost. People he loved carries weight most men would crumble under, but he never complains, never seeks pity, never explains himself. That's what the Thomas Shelby rule is really about. It's not about being cold or mean. It's about being kind without being soft, stoic without being dead, present without being needy. You give just enough for her to feel something, but never enough for her to fully decode you. You listen deeply, but speak rarely. You touch with intention, not desperation. You can disappear without explanation, but when you're there, your presence is undeniable. That's how obsession begins. Not with loud dominance or constant pursuit, but with quiet gravity that she can't escape. Now stay with me here, because I'm about to explain why this works psychologically. And once you understand this, you'll never see attraction the same way again. What makes the Thomas Shelby rule so magnetic is the tension it creates. Most men live at the extremes. They're either overbearing and loud, always trying to impress, always seeking validation, or they're passive and weak, afraid to hold eye contact, afraid to take up space. Thomas Shelby sits dead in the center. He's the storm and the calm at the same time. The man who could protect you with violence, but also disappear on a motorcycle into the fog without a word of explanation. That contradiction, that tension is what women crave. Not answers, not perfection, not predictability, but polarity, mystery, emotional depth they can sense but can't quite access. When she can't fully read you, when she can't predict your next move, when she feels like she's on the edge of discovering something deeper about you, but never quite gets there. That's when obsession starts. That's when she checks her phone 100 times. That's when she replays your conversations looking for clues. That's when you become the itch she can't scratch. And here's where most men destroy themselves. They think silence and mystery means doing nothing, just being quiet and aloof. No. The Thomas Shelby rule is not about being passive, it's about being minimal but intentional. Every word you speak should feel like it came from a man who knows exactly who he is. When you say less but mean more, when you touch her and it feels deliberate, when you look at her without flinching or looking away first, she senses she's dealing with something rare, something she can't manipulate or predict. And that, brother, is an entirely different category of attraction. The Thomas Shelby rule also relies on something deeper that most men completely miss: emotional stillness. When chaos hits, you don't react, you breathe, you observe. When she tries to provoke you, you don't engage. You don't fight for her attention. You don't chase her validation. You remain grounded like a mountain that doesn't move just because the wind screams. Women are emotional creatures, beautifully chaotic at times, and when they meet a man who doesn't, mirror that chaos, who doesn't get swept up in it, who instead contains it and grounds it, they don't just fall in love, they become devoted. Because in their storm, you become the anchor. Not because you shouted louder than everyone else, but because you didn't need to shout at all. You see, every woman's deepest fantasy isn't about the guy who tells her she's beautiful every 5 minutes. It's about the man she has to wonder if she's beautiful enough for, the one she wants to impress but can't quite figure out how. The man who doesn't fawn over her like every other guy in her inbox, but instead looks at her with calm curiosity, like he's evaluating whether she's worth more of his time. That's the Thomas Shelby rule in action, subtle dominance. You don't say you're different, you show it in how unbothered you are, in how little effort you waste on performing, chasing, or competing for attention. And paradoxically, that's exactly what makes her work for your approval. That's when she starts dressing differently around you, watching your reactions more closely, craving your validation, because now it's rare. Now it actually means something. What I'm about to tell you next is the part that separates the men women date from the men women obsess over. And it has nothing to do with what most guys think. One of the biggest mistakes men make is thinking women love receiving attention. They don't. They love earning it. They love the process of winning you over, not having you handed to them on a silver platter before they have done anything to deserve it. And when you operate with Thomas Shelby's energy, you make your approval something sacred. You don't compliment her every move. You don't validate her just because she wants you to. You don't fall for surface level beauty like a starving man. You wait, you observe, you let her prove herself. And when you finally do give her genuine praise, when you look her in the eye and say something real, it lands like thunder. Not because the words were special, but because they came from a man who doesn't give that to just anyone. She'll remember that moment for months, maybe years. There's a strange thing that happens when you embrace this rule. Women start acting out around you, not because you did anything wrong, but because they're trying to break your frame. They want to feel something from you. A reaction, a crack in the armor, anything that proves you're like the rest. But when you stay grounded, when you calmly observe while she creates chaos, when you don't defend yourself or explain your worth, she spirals. And that spiral is her testing you. That's her trying to see if you're really what you appear to be. If you crumble, if you fold, if you start chasing harder when she pulls back, she walks, because now she knows. You're like everyone else, but if you hold frame, if you stay calm and even slightly amused by the drama, something shifts inside her. She realizes she's not leading this dance, you are. And in that realization, she begins falling under your gravity in a way she can't control. The Thomas Shelby rule works because it taps into something primal, something ancient. This isn't some new dating strategy. This is wired into human DNA. Thousands of years ago, the men who survived weren't the loudest or the most emotional. They were the most composed, the most aware, the ones who knew when to act and when to remain still. Women instinctively still crave that energy. It signals protection, strength, depth, and above all, self-control. When you're calm, poised, slightly unreadable, and completely unfazed by her emotional shifts, you're signaling that you have mastery over yourself. And that's intoxicating to her. Every other guy is chasing, you're not. Every other guy is performing, you're observing. And in her world, that contrast creates a pull she can't resist. Now I need to warn you about something, because this is where most men completely sabotage themselves and ruin everything they've built. But don't confuse calmness with coldness. That's not what this is about. The Thomas Shelby rule isn't about being a robot. It's about having controlled fire. When you speak, it carries intention. When you touch, it feels grounded and present. When you flirt, it's laced with quiet dominance, not neediness. You're not trying to win her. You're inviting her into your world and letting her decide if she's worthy of staying. That's the flip. That's the reversal of the normal dynamic. And this is why the Thomas Shelby rule feels so counterintuitive to most guys. They think attraction is about more, More words, more compliments, more pursuit, more effort. But real attraction, the kind that makes women obsess, is about less. Less talking, more presence, less chasing, more gravity, less explanation, more mystery. You don't chase her when she pulls away, you let her go. You don't text 5 times when she doesn't respond. You put your phone down and continue building your life, because deep down, you know this truth. The moment she realizes you don't need her to be okay is the moment she starts needing you to feel okay. That's the Thomas Shelby rule. That's the reversal of emotional dependency. Most men give their power away, bleeding their energy for a woman who hasn't earned their time, but not you. You've reached a place where your energy is too valuable to waste, your attention too sacred to give freely, your time too important to spend begging for hers. And when she feels that boundary, it awakens something primal in her, because now she wants to deserve you. Here's something most men never realize. The typical guy has it completely backwards. He tries to win her, but the Thomas Shelby rule flips that illusion. It's not about winning her, it's about letting her win you. And to do that, you don't run marathons for her attention. You walk slowly and make her chase just to keep up. The slower you move, the faster she runs towards you. The quieter you are, the louder her thoughts about you become. That's the paradox. You don't pull her in with fireworks and grand gestures. You draw her in with stillness, with weight, with presence that doesn't require performance. She'll feel something she's never felt before. A man who doesn't try to impress. A man who doesn't change who he is just to match what he thinks she wants. And that discomfort, that mystery, is exactly what makes her obsess, because she realizes you're the first man she's met who doesn't need her validation to feel like a man. And what I'm about to tell you next is why some men become absolutely unforgettable, while others fade from her memory within days. You want to know what women really talk about when they describe the guy they can't get over? It's never the one who did the most. It's always the one who did the least, but did it with depth. The one who walked into the room and didn't need to be seen. The one who said more with his eyes than other men said with paragraphs. The one who never argued, never begged, never raised his voice, but you could feel his power in the silence. That's the man they can't stop thinking about. That's the man who ruins them for everyone else, because he gave them something no one else could, the gift of emotional restraint. And once a woman experiences that, she'll spend years chasing that feeling again. The Thomas Shelby rule isn't about being detached. It's about being composed. It's about knowing that your masculinity isn't defined by what you do for her, but by how well you hold your frame around her. She can scream. She can flirt with drama, she can vanish and come back, and you remain unshaken. She throws emotional waves at you, and you remain the rock. In that stillness, she finds both fear and fascination. Fear because she realizes she can't control you. Fascination because she's never had to actually work for a man's attention before, and now she does. The truth is, she loves it. She craves the challenge. She needs to feel like she's earning something that can't be bought with beauty or borrowed with charm. She wants to win you. You have to understand something most men never figure out. Emotionally controlled doesn't mean emotionally dead. It means in control. It means not spilling your entire inner world just because she looked at you a certain way. It means not reacting to every mood swing like it's an emergency. She cries. You don't panic. She threatens to leave. You hold the door open. She creates drama. You respond with calm clarity. And through it all, you send one unshakable message. You are not her emotional toy, her validation machine, or her chaos partner. You are a mountain, and she can either find peace in your presence or keep climbing storms that don't exist. When you show her that you're not addicted to her energy, she becomes addicted to yours. That's the paradox, no. One explains, that's why it feels wrong at first, because every instinct society trained into you says, be more available, more open, more emotionally accessible. But she doesn't want unlimited access, she wants selectivity. She wants to feel chosen by a man who doesn't choose easily. Now let me tell you what happens when you actually master this, because the effects go far beyond just attraction. Here's something wild that happens when you embody this energy. It's not just women who respond differently. Other men start treating you differently too. You'll notice fewer interruptions when you speak, less pushback, more respect, because the world senses something primal in you, something unshakable, and that aura affects everything. Your career, your negotiations, your leadership, your friendships. It's not just a dating strategy. It's a way of being that transforms every area of your life. And ironically, the calmer you become, the more chaos will try to test you. Women, especially, will push your buttons just to see if you're really that composed. But that's when you double down. You don't raise your voice. You don't flinch. You respond with clarity instead of reactivity. And that right there makes you unforgettable. At the end of the day, the Thomas Shelby rule isn't about imitating a fictional character. It's about embodying the essence that makes him magnetic, unapologetic masculinity anchored in emotional control. You don't chase, you attract. You don't convince, you lead. You don't explain your worth, you demonstrate it through discipline. And that shift, though it might feel counterintuitive at first, is the very thing that flips everything. It turns her confusion into curiosity, her indifference into obsession, her testing into surrender. Because while the world is full of men trying desperately to get her attention, you become the man whose absence she feels the loudest. A woman will never tell you this rule directly. She'll never say, "Be calm and controlled like Thomas Shelby and I'll chase you forever." No. Instead, she'll test your emotions, your patience, your sense of worth. She'll try to shake you, provoke you, pull you into her chaos. Not because she wants to break you, but because she wants to feel your strength. And when she feels your composure in the face of her storms, something primal ignites in her. She feels safe, but not comfortable. She feels safe in your leadership. She feels safe knowing you won't be swayed by her moods. And ironically, that's what makes her addicted to you, because she doesn't just see a man, she sees a foundation. So, yeah, maybe it sounds dumb to think that silence, calmness, and stoic presence could make women obsess. But here's the truth. They don't just obsess, they surrender to it. Because in a world full of noise, the man who says little but means everything is unforgettable. In a world of emotional chaos, the man who remains unfazed becomes her lighthouse. And in a sea of men trying way too hard, the man who does less becomes infinitely more. That's the Thomas Shelby rule. That's your power. And once you embody it, once you own that energy completely, she'll feel it in ways she can never explain but will never want to escape.